We're so pleased to have Brett Richards, who's organizing Goldshore resources that will contain day one 4 million ounces and three new additional properties at spun out of Wesdome Mines that retains a 1% NSR, 30% of the Goldshore stock, and some progress payments. Brett, please begin.
Hey, John, thanks, and thanks for everyone on the line. We are having a few technical difficulties getting the presentation up, but I'd just like to talk about the project initially while John's sorting that out. Goldshore is a very new private company that we have backed into a shell called Sierra Madre Developments with the intention to list in May and change the name to Goldshore Resources. Prior to that happening, we have conducted a transaction with Wesdome to acquire the Moss Lake project, and I'll get into a bit more detail about that in a second. Moss Lake and the project is in a very low-risk jurisdiction, being in Ontario. It's about 135 kilometers northwest of Thunder Bay. We have a very top-quality management team and board with deep experience and a track record proven for kind of value creation in the development pipeline. But if you look at the depth of our team and our advisory board, many of us have run listed companies, operating mines, multiple operating mines, mining companies, and we're well suited to take Goldshore through the development pipeline. Looking at the project itself, we have an untapped exploration upside that is, I think, extremely exciting at this stage. Although, as John alluded to, we have 4 million ounces. We have about 1.5 million ounces of indicated and 2.5 million ounces of inferred resource at the Moss Lake project. But we also have, two other deposits. We have Coldstream deposit, which is a historical copper mine, and the Hamlin project, which is a large porphyry to the southwest. North of the Moss Lake project, we have about a 20-kilometer mineral trend on the property with about an 8-kilometer IP expression. So we have a lot of work to do, not only to step out and understand the extensions, but also to work on the Moss Lake and infill this to demonstrate it as a project. So we have quickly moved to putting together a roughly about 100,000 meter program of drilling, both infill drilling at the Moss Lake project to increase the quality of the resource and bring kind of more ounces into the measured and indicated category, but also to step out and step down at Moss Lake and to increase the quantum of resources. There is a historical PEA that was conducted by the Moss Lake Gold Mines back in 2013. And albeit it's outdated, but if I look at the project economics and I look at what they used for commodity assumptions, at today's gold price, the NPV of the Moss Lake project as it stood is around $675 million at today's gold price. So we have taken a view that we wanted a project that will be highly economic at today's gold price and the trajectory of tomorrow's gold price, which is what we feel will be trade bound to a range of anywhere between $1,800 and $2,200 gold, with spikes up and spikes down from that. But we were looking for a project that would be highly economic in that band range. And this is a project that Wesdome had in their development pipeline. They hadn't given it a lot of, I'll say, attention. They were focused on Eagle River and Kiena, and Duncan was just before me on this conference, and illustrated how excited they are about Eagle River and Kiena because they have extensions of both of those operations.
Brett, can you see my slides?
I can see your slides, John. Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to minimize other stuff and get it out of the way.
No problem. And
I think if I shut that control box, I'm going to shut the webcast.
Okay. I'm fine. I think everyone can see your slides, John.
Thank you. Just tell me when to advance them, Brett. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So the historic PEA and kind of what we have seen and why we targeted West Dome was they have two very high grade underground mines, low tonnage, but extremely high grade. Eagle River is one of the highest grade gold mines in the world. And this is going to be a high tonnage, low grade open pit mine. So it's completely different to kind of what West Dome's, I'll say, sweet spot is and what their skill sets are. So this was a good marriage for us to transact with West Dome. I like to call it a win-win situation at the end of the day, whereby we have given them exposure to both Goldshore, but also given them exposure to the project and the, I'll say, the trajectory of the gold price. Next slide. Just to talk a little bit about our management group, there's myself as the CEO and also a director, and Pete Flindell, who is our VP of Exploration. And Pete has been with me over probably the last 18 years on probably 7 or 8 projects, and well suited for this role. Has run many multi-rig programs in his career, and he has made several discoveries globally of multi-million ounce deposits. Gavin Cooper is our CFO, and our board consists of Doug Ramshaw, Victor Cantor, Galen McNamara, Brandon McDonald, Sean Kuhn, and then the 2 West Dome appointees, Mike Michaud and Heather Laxton. Turn. We also have a strategic advisory board, and these are guys that are very well known in the industry, but they are guys that bring a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge to the table. David Garofalo really needs no introduction. He was the CEO of Goldcorp. Craig Perry, Brian Slusaruk, and Leo Hathaway, Daniel Coons, and Adrian Rothwell. They're all a part of this group, and they're a part of this team. And my style at the end of the day, and historically, and it's worked very well on other projects and other companies, is I'm a very collaborative CEO. I'm a very collaborative type style, whereby I like to get the views of everyone, and I like to form my own decision based on a collaborative approach. I don't know everything, and I don't know everything about every project, but using the experience and the technical know-how and the financial know-how of all of these guys, combined with my experience, I think is a recipe for success. I've been in this business for almost 35 years now. I've run about a dozen mining companies, half of them public and half of them private, for private equity clients. And I've seen very high risk jurisdictions. I've seen very high risk projects and very distressed projects. And I'm excited about taking Goldshore to the next level, simply because I can see tremendous opportunity, both geologically, but tremendous opportunity in value creation for our shareholders. Next.
Taking it a little bit as a time so people can read it. You can also get the slides from the 2021 presentations tab of my website, fairandfairresearch.com, or from the Goldshore Resources website.
It's our plan to do a number of programs up on the site, but looking at the map, we are pretty well positioned northwest of Thunder Bay, in and around kind of the Rainy River, and really not too far from the Timmins camp, where you see Cote Lake and Detour, Kirkland Lake, and to the northwest of us, Red Lake. So we're in the right jurisdiction. We have substantial amount of similar type geological profiles to that of Detour, to Rainy River and Cote. High tonnage, low grade, and these projects are extremely sensitive to the gold price. Just looking at the mineral resource statement here, you can see where we have kind of around 1.5 million ounces of indicated and 2.5 million ounces of inferred resource, both at Moss Lake and at East Coldstream.
So I just want to interject. West Dome had the Moss Lake deposit since almost 1990, and they're underground narrow vein miners. Just before Duncan came on board, they got East Coldstream and North Coldstream I think both from Glencore, and picked up some other ground, which Wesdome never drilled. So
Yeah, they did have a small drill program in 2015 and 2000, I believe it was 2015, 2016. And we've actually, Pete and I have been out to the site. I've been out a couple of times, but we can see where they have drilled historically back 25, 30 years ago when it was Moss Lake and Extrata. We've seen the core at East Coldstream and up Moss Lake. But I think Mike Michaud, and Duncan, who was on the call just before us, I think their view was, they wanted to potentially do some work at it, but keep in mind, 5 years ago, when the gold price, came off of the September 2011 high of 1900 and change, they probably said to themselves, at a 12, 13, $1,400 gold price, this probably doesn't work. And given the PEA that they had done in 2013, I think their view was, let's park this. We'll look at it another day, and we'll focus on Eagle and Kiena. And they do work all day long at $1,100 and $1,200 gold. They actually work at an $800 gold. So I think their view was, let's spend the capital and let's spend the time and energy and resources of building up, our underground capacity in order to do that. So Moss Lake just was, I hate to use the overused term unloved, but it was unloved during kind of that period. And even though with a run of gold price, you would say, well, why didn't Wesdome look at developing this themselves? And the reality is Wesdome's a $1 billion company, but they still have limited capital and they still have limited resources to be able to work on multi-projects. They're focused on Eagle and they're focused on getting Kiena into production. So for this was a good alternative for them to realize kind of value and realize some exposure to the gold price. So that was the whole premise. But it is, as you say, it is very under drilled. The whole area requires a substantial amount of drilling. Even though there's been 150,000 meters of drilling in this area, this is a large land package, one of the largest in the northwestern Ontario region. We go down from Highway 7 down around 27 kilometers south of there. And the exciting things about the Moss Lake deposit is, there are some substantial drill hits here. Well, you see the drilling results, 11.3 grams over 70 meters. That's exciting stuff. And 2.5 grams over 71 meters, and then a little bit lower grade, 1.19 grams over 163 meters. This is exciting territory. Although it grades out to a low grade mass deposit of over a gram, but this is going to be something geologically we're going to figure out, and then we'll put together in the next kind of 18 to 24 months an updated version of the PEA to demonstrate the value and to demonstrate the size and scale of this project. So we will do some work at East Coldstream, and I expect that we're going to do some scout drilling at Hamlin as well. But first and foremost, what we're going to do, and you see the land package there, we start tomorrow with a company called Geotech, and we're going to fly a VTEM survey over our entire land package. We're going to a VTEM survey, just a geophysical survey, vertical time domain electromagnetic survey over the entire package, so we can understand not only in addition to layering to all of our drill information and all our geochem information and our ground IP, we'll layer this geophysical survey on top of all that, and it will multi-layered information package will give us high quality drill targets, and I think that is what Pete is shooting for. The first thing is to do this right and not to piecemeal it. And we've said all along, we're gonna treat this project as if we're a major. Pete and I both work for majors, and we're gonna treat this like from a quality standpoint as if we were kind of going to, as if we were a major, as if we were going to build this ourselves. So the quality of data, the quality of the work stream and the work processes we're going to do will mirror that of what a larger mining company would do, because we've been there. We're not going to just poke holes in the ground randomly. We're not going to twin holes and look at these results because we've already know what they are. We are going to, yes, we're going to do some verification drilling and some twinning, but the whole premise here is to demonstrate that this is a real project, and that we'll do it in such a way with such quality that it will be attractive to look at, who our partners will be down the road. This isn't starting from A to Z. We're already at L, and we're going to take it to O or P or Q. I don't know where, and somebody will take it from P or Q to Z and get it into construction. Looking at the original PEA of 2013, this is a north of $1 billion CapEx project, but it's also going to be 15, 16, 17,000 ton a day through a mill, have a multi-100,000 ounce profile, and it will return an NPV of probably close to $1 billion when we're done. So this is a large scale project. We talked about some of the holes, and I think the slide that we're moving up onto right now, where it says Moss Lake exploration potential, we've altered the kind of land package from the one that's above. We've kind of flattened it and turned it so we can get a better better view of it. You can see that in red where the existing resource is, both the indicated and inferred. You can see where the resource is, but you can also see there's a long zone, a long strike of IP anomalies, and there's a trend that runs 20 kilometers to the north, north being on the right. And this is exciting exciting scout drilling territory for us, because we know we're in a highly mineralized area, and we have a large land package to support, putting together a quantum of resource that will be very attractive to the majors.
Brett, do you know where? Yep.
Go ahead, John.
How much of this trend has no information?
I think as you go north of where the original IP was done, I don't think there's any information. I just don't think it's been worked. It's part of a land package we have. There probably some historic geochemistry work that has been done, but there's really, we're into virgin territory here in a highly mineralized zone.
So where the white broken line is, the right-hand half of it between Moss Lake and North and East Coldstream, has that been drilled?
Some of the Coldstream area has been drilled because there was a historic operating mine there, all mostly underground drilling. But anything east of that white dot in the screen, there hasn't been any drilling at all.
So it's possible that these things connect, for all we know.
Oh, it's quite possible, and quite frankly, we probably expect it. If you look at Iris, there has been a few holes placed in at Iris, but you were talking 3 holes in a 25 to 40, 25, 30 square kilometer area. So there hasn't been any work to speak of. But again, when you look at Iris and you look at the mineralization there, is this thing all hang together? Our view is it does, and we're going to prove it. And I can wave my arms all I want and say, look what we have, but we're going to get on the ground, we're going to step it out, we're going to drill it, and we're going to prove it. So yeah, I think it is potentially an exciting part of our drill program that we're looking forward to.
Do Iris and Hamlin suggest a parallel shear zone or a splaying of the major shear zone or something else?
Good question, because we do have quite a bit different geology, and there is a shear zone to the west. So I guess the answer to it is watch this space, and when we start to layer all of this data, I think and we start to come up with drill targets, we'll have a better understanding of the geology and how, and the continuity and the contiguousness of the geology. We have a lot of re-logging to do in the first instance, and we have a lot of data compilation. As you can imagine, these properties have been held by four or five companies over the last 25, 30 years, and there's a lot of data. And so we're going through a process with Oryx whereby we're having them collate and put all the data on one database. We're digitizing everything, and we're trying to kind of have everything in kind of one spot in a high quality and properly identified. Next slide.
Of metallurgy, is North Coldstream the one that had some historic copper byproduct?
Well, East Coldstream was a mine at one point in time, and it has a lot of historic core. We went and saw it in February. You can imagine it was a little chilly, but it's all in excellent shape. There is a historic at it and head frame there that the head frame's been taken down, but they mined there, I want to say, for about 12 or 13 years. So again, when we're talking about, we're not going to be just assaying for gold. We're going to be assaying for gold. We're going to be assaying for silver. We're going to be assaying for copper. We want to understand kind of both the stratigraphy, the lithology, but also, are there other mineral opportunities in and around all of this? So
both
I think,
gold streams had a little bit of copper that were formerly owned by Glencore and Falconbridge.
Yeah. And
they're slightly different metallurgy.
Slightly, and Noranda before that. Next slide. If you look at the drilling that has done at Moss Lake, you can see the model that the historic model of the historic resource there. I think this really demonstrates the under drilling impact of this ore body. And you can see drilling has only gone down 200 to 250 meters in some cases, and I would expect that although there's a high incidence that it could be contiguous at depth, and we're going to prove that. So we not only do we want to infill it to bring up the quality and put a shell around that and demonstrate it's a real project, we'll put some deep holes down to see how contiguous it is and how just how deep it does go, as well as trying to step it out where there's very limited information. Obviously, it didn't get pulled into the resource. There was limited information about both to the northeast and to the southwest. So we'll concentrate on that. But this is open and in all directions and both northeast, southwest, and a little bit west and a little bit east. But it's also open at depth. So hence the large program, hence the large capital raise. Why we are being very aggressive for a very newly started junior gold mining company. We're going to come out of the chute at a fairly large market cap. We've raised $25 million, and we are going to hit this hard. One of my mantras is speed to market, and we want to get through our development program as quick as possible. So this slide really illustrates kind of the potential we have at depth as well.
So the deal structure is that you're supposed to give consideration to West Dome. The reality is that they have no debt, 63 million Canadian cash, and a $35 million Canadian capex to restart Canada. So it would seem like if you had good results, and for some reason the gold price or stock market were bad, there's always a chance you could sweet talk Duncan and get some cash from West Dome.
Yeah, that's always an option, but I think
that's not the intention. The bank of West Dome owns 30% of you.
Exactly, and West Dome is a good strategic shareholder. Sitting at 30%, and I'm sure they're going to be excited to see this follow. They're not they're locked up with their shares for a period of time. And quite frankly, the motivation in all of our discussions with West Dome is, they're not sellers here. They want to get as much bang for their consideration as possible. And on a $52 million ticket deal, they're getting $12.5 million in cash and $40 million in shares over a period of time. They're getting They're getting $19.5 million of shares right now, or 30% of the company, and they're going to get progress payments in 12 and 24 months based on milestones. So they're going to be very exposed here, and I think their view is we might see $100 million or $120 or $30 million or more consideration for Moss Lake, and now that I think that excites them. So they weren't doing this as a strict divestiture, get out. They were doing this as, yes, we want to divest it, but we're doing this to get exposure to both to the project and to the the gold price and the impact it'll have on a large resource.
Cisco Gold Royalties loves to have their companies drill in 250-kilometer increments, and 1 gram treated them well at Malartic.
Sure.
O3 Mining is 1 gram near Val-d'Or.
Mm-hmm.
And you would seem to fit their template pretty well.
Absolutely, and this is very similar profile, and you can rest assured that after working in Africa for almost 20 years, I did a lot of homework, and Pete has done a lot of homework on both Canadian Malartic and others, like Cote, and we've looked at very similar depositions in and around the area to see what they're doing. Let's say, face it, Cisco's done really well. They've been very successful with it, with Malartic, and I think we're going to see, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. If this is the progress they've done in their development, we're going to try and use that information to our best avail, and we are. The key here is information and drilling this out to demonstrate, A, it's a project, B, it has size and scale and potential, and we will let the gold price fall where it does. But we have a view, and we certainly have a view that the gold price is going to trade range bound in, like I said, 1,800 to 2,200. And this project is going to be highly economic at that range. And if you think the gold price is going to go back to $1,200, then this project doesn't work at those numbers. And if it goes to $2,500, then obviously our shareholders will be well rewarded. Next slide. Just looking at the bottom of the slide, you can see there's been extensive historical work done over the past 40 or about 40 years to leading us to where we are today. And I think this is part of our data compilation and part of our information gathering and capturing it all into one place. Keep going. I will talk a little bit about the work program. So the data compilation, we have started work with Oryx on the data compilation. We're kind of in early stages, month 1, and we've got our permit in, and we have had our initial consultation with our First Nations host communities. All been very positive, and we're preparing for we put a drill tender out, and we're preparing to start our drilling as soon as we have access to the site. Reasonable access to the site where we can start and not stop. So there's a lot of infrastructure building right now in and around the site. We're getting a camp set up. We're getting core shacks set up. We're getting just simple things like just mobilizing people and mobilizing equipment so we can get on with our program when we get our permit. But in the meantime, we are going to fly the geophysical survey. We don't need our permit for that. And again, this will feed into the hub of all the information that we're going to be assembling. And I would say after we get 1 drill rig running and the second rig running, we'll probably start a scout rig up in the north, and then we'll go into rigs 3, 4, 5, and 6 depending on results, and turning that data around, putting it into our model. And there will come a point in time when we choose to do a new resource estimation based on the data and the quality of the results. And from that point in time, we will start to look at a PEA and updating the existing PEA to the new sized resource. And I think we can capture all of that within a 24-month period, so that in 24 months we'll have some decisions to make. We can look for partners. or we can continue the development ourselves and take this to pre-feasibility study, or we can, like I say, we can look for partners. But I'm also out looking for, the next project as to something that we can put in the pipeline, because Moss Lake, I've built a number of mines in my career, and I don't expect to build Moss Lake. We're a junior mining company. We serve a purpose. Our purpose is to get through the development phase for a mid-tier or a major, so that we can demonstrate a high quality project. And those who have the capital wherewithal, those who have the financial and technical support to build a $1 billion plus capex mine, they will be the ones to build it. Our job is to get it there, and we'll look for the next one, because this is a model that can be replicated over and over, and with projects that are starting to come to the fore. People are starting to see what we're doing, and they're saying, hey, you know what, I buy that thesis on gold price. I buy that mantra that gold is going to go in one direction. So where are the projects that are economic at $1,800? And yeah, this is certainly one of them, and there are others. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, we have backed in Goldshore. We've done a transaction with Wesdome, and we've RTO'd into Sierra Madre. All of these things are awaiting TSX approval, and we have filed our filing statement and our listing application, and we expect. I don't want to put words in the TSXV's mouth, but I would expect that sometime in May we're going to be approved for trading. And we're going to emerge with about 100 million shares, and about we've just raised $25 million, which is about 36 million shares at 65 cents. So we're going to emerge with about a $65 million market cap. So for an emerging junior, we didn't raise $1 million and we got a $2 million market cap and take it to 5 and then take it to 10. We're making that jump step right to development company, hence the size of the capital raise, hence the size of our capital structure, and how we're going to emerge when we start trading. We have reserved the ticker GSHR, so look for that, and I'm quite excited about when we get to finally start trading. The key terms of the deal I've spoken to. 12.5 million of cash goes out the door to Wesdome, and then obviously the greater of 19.5 million in shares, or 30% of the outstanding. It'll be 19.5 million shares, because we're going to have 100 million out, and 30% of them will be held by Wesdome. And then there's a $5 million share payment to after 1 year of closing, and a $7.5 million share payment upon completion of a PEA, PFS, or within 25 years of closing. Or sorry, 2.5 years of closing. And then there's a $7.5 million payment in shares on completion of a feasibility study, or 4 years of closing. And they carry a 10% NSR to Wesdome, which can be bought out. And I think the salient terms of that are around, I think it's around $5 million, $2 million in shares and $3 million in cash. And those numbers and letters are so small I can't read them. So I think, in summarizing, the opportunity, we're in a good jurisdiction. We're in Ontario, and we've been welcomed by the ministry, been welcomed by our First Nations. We want to develop our relationships with our First Nations, and we quickly want to move to MOU with several of them, so that we can kind of move forward in a positive way. We've got the drill program mobilized for about 100,000 meters of drilling. We're going to do it in stages. We're going to have a small 10,000 meter program to start, and a 5,000 meter kind of scout program, and then another 10,000. We'll bite this off in chunks, and as we say in Africa, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. And then the three kind of key areas, although we're going to focus on Moss Lake, we will be doing kind of some step outs eventually to the other areas. And again, I think we're going to have we have a very tight share structure. All of about 63 million, 64 million shares are going to be held in escrow for some time. So the free float is really what we've just raised, and we're going to be well suited for cash for some time to come, and we're gonna put it in the ground. So I look forward to kind of the next 6, 8, 12 months. Pete is in Thunder Bay now. He's relocated there. He's going to put himself on the ground. We've got employees hired. We've got infrastructure started. We've got a camp organized, and we're ready to. And our VTEM survey starts tomorrow, and we're ready to go. So I'm excited. So saving the TSX, the powder for sometime in May. Once we hit the ground trading, I'll be out updating everybody on the story as we go. But this is an exciting time for Goldshore.
So the 100 meters of drilling seems really small in relation to the land package, the targets, the existing mineralization.
Well, 100 kilometers of drilling is it's not that small, and I think it's really phase one for us. I think if we can get to good results, then I would commit to more. But I don't think we're in a position to say we're going to do a 250,000 meter program until we see some results. I think there's enough relative scale. Once we can identify key targets, I think there's enough relative scale to put together 100,000 meters without any difficulty. Probably more than half of that is going to be infill, probably 60 or 65% of it. And and I think those will be meters well spent. We'll put some deep holes down. We'll bring in some new inferred. We'll scout out. We'll step out, and we'll probably bring some new ounces in inferred there as well. But this is just, again, we're walking, and we're very disciplined, and we're very, I'll say, prescriptive as to what it is we're going to do, and very direct as to what it is we're going to do. This is not an arm waving exercise. We are not a flogging, junior mining company that's over promoting the stock. We have a project, and we're going to demonstrate we have a project, and I want to do it very methodically, and I want to understand the geology. Pete wants to understand the geology through data compilation, through all the work that we're going to do, and then we can lay a path to a PEA and a PFS.
How many geologists will you have on site?
All of them,
including Pete.
We're going to have probably, as we ramp up to 6 rigs, we'll have probably 6 senior geologists. We'll probably have 20 to 30 geotechs, and probably 20 to 30 other laborers, not including the drill crew, and not including other ancillary people working on infrastructure, logistics, fuel, camp, etc. I think technical people in the field, it wouldn't be very, very hard to say that we would have close to 50.
Super. If anyone wants to put questions in the question box, it's available. Brett, I appreciate your presentation very much. I've been looking at this project for almost a decade, and I'm really glad to see the project moving ahead and the cooperative agreement with Wesdome and Goldshore. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, John. I appreciate it, and thanks for everyone tuning in today and listening. This is an exciting story, and watch this space. And I'll be updating everybody on social media, but also as we get closer to listing, you look forward to us ringing the bell in sometime in May.
Thank you very much.
Okay, John. Thanks, everyone. Take care.